Hey, I'm Jill Riley from The Current, and I am very excited to be joined by, well, at this point, somebody who feels like an old friend. She's done a number of features for The Current, The Morning Show, A Theft of the Dial. We've checked in just doing interviews throughout the years. Gosh, it was a few years ago that we got to talk to the entire band Garbage out at Mystic Lake. That was a lot of fun when it was the Blondie and Garbage and an X show going on. And now I get the opportunity to talk to her once again as there is a new record from Garbage, No Gods, No Masters. Shirley Manson, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. That was quite a talk up, quite an introduction.
Well, for you, I've got to talk you up. So, just to start, I mean, after the past over, gosh, it just seems like 10 years, but over the past year, with everything that, people have been going through all over the world with this pandemic, how are you feeling today? Like, what is your state of mind at this point?
I don't even know what my state of mind is. I'm relieved that I'm double vaxxed. I'm relieved that I can, start to live my life again. I feel blue. I think we're all a little surprised that as we start to see things shift and change for the better, I think we're all a bit surprised that we're not more jubilant. But I think we're probably all a little wary. We don't know where this is going to really end. And I'm scared everything gets locked down again and I have to go back to the house. So, I'm cautiously optimistic, I guess.
Yeah, I think I'm feeling that way too. I'm feeling cautiously optimistic. I want to keep a little bit of that caution, but at the same time, when it comes to the world of music, here in the Twin Cities, there are so many shows being announced and just the excitement that venues are going to be opening up again this summer and so many major tours coming through in the fall. So I think that's giving a lot of people hope is that there's a little bit of, the return to normalcy, which is feeling pretty good. And I'd have to assume for a band that releasing a new record has to feel like a return to normalcy. So the new record is No Gods, No Masters. Can you kind of take us back to the beginning of when did you start writing for the record? When did you start recording it?
We started writing in 2018 and we did 2 weeks of writing in 2018. And then that was basically it. And Duke, our guitarist, he took all the jams home to Madison, Wisconsin, and he sort of selected about 16 ideas, I think, that provided the sort of springboard for the rest of the record. And we took all those songs that he picked out from the jamming sessions down to our studio in Los Angeles and worked basically all the way through 2019.
And so then, 2019, things are looking good. Like, hey, look at this, we're going to have this new record. And then it was the new year and then it was 2020. So how did the pandemic affect the work that you were doing?
Well, it was a disaster, as it was for the rest of the world. We had amazing plans in place and we had a record about to come out and a tour to go on and then another amazing tour to go on. And, all just hit the fan and we got sent home and it was disappointing and frustrating. And then we were sitting on a brand new record for a whole year and a half, basically. And that has been like torture. Because, you think, well, maybe the world will have changed by the time this comes out and it will be, it will no longer be relevant. But as it turns out, I think we've been surprised by how prescient the record continues to be.
Well, I would certainly say the word relevant is right on, because when we heard that there was a new Garbage record coming out, I think the first song I ran into was The Men Who Rule the World. And I thought, well, I love this title because I just kind of feel like I know where it's going. And then, I looked up the lyrics and had a listen and I went, okay, this one's going to need an edit for the radio. I'm not quite ready for this one. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of my first taste of what the new record was going to sound like. And I'm like, ooh, Shirley Manson is not holding back.
Yeah, I'm not holding back.
Not that you really ever
record.
have, but yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like, we're all cowed and nervous about offending everybody. And there's all this cancel culture. And I think it's not good for creativity, you know, when we're also scared to say anything for fear that we get punished for it. And I just thought, you know what, I've got nothing to lose here. And there are certain things I want to get off my chest, and I'm going to get them off my chest and try and do it in as kind a way as possible. But tell the truth from my perspective. Like, I'm not telling anyone I'm right. I'm just saying this is how I feel. Like, you can be in agreement or disagreement with it. I'm not lecturing you or telling you what to think. I'm just saying this is what I think. And I think I'm perfectly within my rights to do that, you know, and I'm lucky that I work with a band who feel the same way as I do, you know.
Yeah. I'm talking with Shirley Manson from Garbage. So happy to have you back on The Current and, well, to have you on video. I mean, Zoom has been kind of our way of life in the past year. The new Garbage album is called No Gods, No Masters. Album number 7. Do you have like a lucky number 7? Do you have a little bit of superstition on that?
No, not really. Well, I mean, I was thinking about the number 7 and just I felt gleeful that we'd finally got to lucky number 7. I mean, it seems like a momentous occasion, you know, for a band that we've been together for 25 years, and it felt like the numerology was perfect. Not in any really serious sense, but for fun. I'm always looking for pleasurable little additions and fantasies and imaginings to make life, you know, more enjoyable. And so, yeah, I was excited about hitting our 7th record. I still am. I think it's really wonderful, and I'm very grateful, and I'm amazed that we're still here. I think everybody is. I mean, it's just really kind of extraordinary.
Yeah, I think it was, oh gosh, maybe 3 or 4, probably 4 years ago. I remember coming out to Mystic Lake, and it was Blondie. It was you guys, it was Garbage, and then John Doe and Exene Cervenka were opening up the show. And we had the opportunity to sit down, I mean, with all of you, Butch Vig, Steve Marker, Duke Erickson, and you. And I mean, you guys were talking about your longevity. And it is really impressive that a band can go for 25 years plus.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often anymore for a lot of different reasons, but not least being the fact that bands are not in favor currently in culture, you know, and record companies in particular are kind of loath to sign a band because bands are expensive. They're expensive to have on your roster. It's so much easier to send, you know, your young ingenue off on the road with a backing track and, a minder, and bingo, you've got your promotion done for you for nothing. Whereas bands are costly. You know, if you want the whole band to play, you have to take the whole circus on the road. And so record companies are really not very enthusiastic really about bands currently. And so that's why I think you see so few of bands sustain really healthy careers. You know, it's very, very difficult. And all the great bands that we know, they're all holding down day jobs as well as their remarkable musical careers. So it's very moving. You know, I find it really moving when I talk about young bands. I feel like they just can't catch a break.
I'm talking with Shirley Manson from Garbage. Hey, you know, you mentioned, you know, the longevity of the band and being together for, 25 plus years now. And you were going to hit the road with Alanis Morissette, who was, I mean, certainly celebrating a big anniversary with just that monster record, Jagged Little Pill. And you were going to go on the road with Liz Phair. And then everything came to a halt. But it's nice to hear that tour is actually going to happen. I'm sure you guys are excited to get back on the road. I hope you are anyway.
Oh, we're very excited. I mean, we're so lucky that this is a tour that Alanis is so successful, that the gigs are big, and so they're all outdoors. So I feel like this is a gift, a real gift, you know, because to spend yet another year at my age on the sidelines and my band's age, it's a disaster, you know. I mean, we'll be dead soon. We have to get going. So we're very grateful that we get to go out on the road this year. And then we follow up the Alanis Liz Phair tour with going out and opening for our beloved Blondie in the UK. So we've got a great year planned, and I can't believe my luck. I just feel so grateful.
Shirley, do you know Alanis Morissette? I mean, do you know her personally?
I mean, we toured together in the 90s, and
okay.
So I don't know. Yes, I do know her. It sounds so pompous, but yes, I do know her. And I'm very grateful to her to be so generous as to invite us back, 25 years or 20 years later. It's like a huge act of generosity on her part. And so to go out with her and have Liz Phair come along, it just is kind of a dream come true for me, because I don't get to tour with a lot of women all the time.
Yeah, and especially, Alanis Morissette, I feel like she's kind of come back around in popularity, maybe because of the anniversary of Jagged Little Pill, but she's also releasing new music, which is really cool to kind of see her back at it in that way. I wish that one of the dates was coming to the Twin Cities, because the idea of Alanis Morissette and Liz Phair, two solo artists, that were coming up at the same time in the alternative music scene, but one kind of got maybe the record companies had something to do with this, that like we only have room for one solo alternative act, and it's going to be Alanis Morissette. And then I feel like Liz Phair kind of got left behind, or Liz Phair should have been as big as Alanis Morissette, is my point, I think.
Well, hey, we should all be as successful as Alanis Morissette. Thank you very much. It just is just the way the cookie crumbles. I mean, Alanis made a record that touched people in an enormous way. I think it's the fastest selling, biggest record released by a woman ever. That's huge. And, she had a singular vision, and it caught the public's imagination, and she was well rewarded for it. That's how it goes. Some of us thrive and some of us don't, and there's no explanation for it. It has nothing to do with talent or how good the songs are. I mean, that's not fair. It does have a little to do with that, but it also, you're in the right place at the right time, making the right record with the right messaging, with the right imaging. It's like when everything comes together right at the perfect time, that's when you have these explosive records like a Billie Eilish. It's exactly the same situation, it's just impossible to fathom how these records become so big, but they do.
Yeah.
And they speak for a generation.
Well, I would certainly say that more than one garbage record has spoken to a generation, because I'm a part of that. I was a teenager in the mid 90s, and it was garbage. It was Alanis Morissette, and the thing is I didn't come to Liz Phair until I started doing college radio, because I just didn't have any exposure to her music. And so I'm grateful to the ones I was able to kind of come up with as a fan, but then those that I'm able to kind of figure out as I kind of go along. And you know what? There's one that I have you to thank when it comes to bands that are up and coming. When you did A Theft of the Dial for The Current, you were the one that told us about the band Deep Valley. And I still listen to that song Smile More. And I'm still like, ugh. Even the idea of like taking off my mask after a year and thinking like, oh, is this going to be a thing again where, I don't have like a pleasant enough sort of face when I'm dealing with men. And yeah, I have to thank you for introducing us to that band, because they are just awesome.
They are indeed. And in fact, we went on to tour with them a few months later. So I have a lot of love for those two girls. They're very, very talented, and they make great records.
Well, No Gods, No Masters, the new album from Garbage. And, we mentioned the other members of Garbage, Butch, Steve, and Duke. How is everybody else doing?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them. I have no idea. I mean, we haven't seen each other, I mean, we're as socially distanced as everybody else is.
True.
Which is slightly awkward when you're trying to put out a record. It's been somewhat devastating that we're putting a record out. None of us are together, that we finished the record and none of us were there to, I finished my final vocal. There was no band. It was just me and my husband. I mean, that's weird and somewhat sad, but you have to adapt to the times you find yourself in. And here we are,
Yeah, I bet this is very Minnesotan of me to say that's different. But I would imagine for you to cut a vocal and then there's nobody there, you're like, should I do that again? Is that what we're looking for? Like, just to not have that feedback from the other band members.
Yeah, surreal, really, really surreal.
Yeah. Well, you just write a message. Let me know if that was okay. That's how I feel like I do things.
I think I can make that decision on my own.
I think you can too.
I'm a big girl now.
All right. Well, Shirley Manson, hey, before I let you go, um, you have a podcast, and I just found out about it. I'm sorry that I've only just found out about it, but I've subscribed to it.
Thank
The
you.
the Jump with Shirley Manson. I can't wait to dig into this. You have interviewed a lot of people.
I just can't believe this has happened to me. It's like one of the most extraordinary gifts of my entire career. I didn't want to do it. When I first got asked to do it, I didn't really want to do it. I didn't feel like I had your kind of talent, of speaking to people and being kind of, I don't know what I expected of myself. But anyway, my manager insisted that I do it. He's like, you'll be really good at this. You're really good at this kind of thing. And I was like, I don't know how he knows this. But anyway, I ended up doing it. The first season was very stressful, but I loved it. I loved it. I loved sitting with other artists and learning from them. And they gave me so much inspiration at a time in my life when I really needed it. Like I needed an injection of something, and the podcast has given that to me. And I'm so grateful to all the incredible people I've sat down with. And we're about to release our third season, and the guests are off the charts. And yeah, I mean, they've influenced me directly on our new record. George Clinton, what an incredible human being. Liz Phair, both those two artists directly influenced songs on my record, just because I was filled with their spirit when I went back from recording the podcast. I went back to the studio. The boys were working on songs, and I just was like on fire. I felt like my veins were hot from sitting with them. So yeah, it's very exciting. It's a great privilege for me.
That's really cool. I can't wait to dig into it. It's called The Jump with Shirley Manson. And I like talking to people, and I think, I'm not a person who's made records, or, I can play an instrument, but I'm certainly not in a band, or I don't have a contract. I've never gone on tour. So I think I can sort of bring like a fan's perspective when I ask questions. But what I really like is, the fact that you are an artist as well. You can also bring your experience to, kind of initiate these conversations with people. So I think it's just a different way of having that conversation. But yeah, that's a really cool thing. I'm so glad that you took the chance and you did it, because it sounds like it really had a big impact on you.
Yeah, it's like going to school,
Yeah, exactly.
Sitting with masters at what they do. It's wild.
Mm-hmm. And then you can tell, I'm you know what, I'm going to be busy today. I got George Clinton on the line today. So.
Yes, exactly. Sorry.
Yeah. That's always my favorite thing, to be like, I'm busy tomorrow. I can't do lunch. I got Ringo tomorrow. So exactly. Those are still really surreal when it's just like Ringo's on the phone saying peace and love. No Gods, No Masters, the new record from Garbage, Shirley Manson. It is always a pleasure, and I'm so glad to see your face.
You too, Jill. Lots of love. Yeah, I'll see you out there.
All right, see you around.
I'll see you out there, sister.
All right, bye-bye.